I found a way to then talk to a manager and replace that phone at no cost to help him out. That is how the company used to be. I just want to start this video with, I said to someone recently that I don't actually want to tell this story and explain it, especially on camera. And someone said to me, the fact that you really don't want to do that is probably the biggest reason that you should. I didn't have recourse for that, so here we are. Okay, so this is going to be very low edited story time kind of video more than anything else. Not something I usually do, but here we are. Why not? So recently I did the Logic breakdown. I did a live stream basically for like an hour and a bit, and a couple of people were really shocked at the idea that I thought Logic was going to almost certainly move over to a subscription plan with Update 11, and lots of other people felt the same way. And a few people were like, oh, you clearly have no idea how Apple operates its business and all this other jazz. And the thing is, I do, because I worked for them for 8 straight years. And I was part-time, but I was a creative pro, and I was on the creative team, so I got to do loads of cool shit, basically. And I'm very familiar with how Apple operates internally. And the new Apple, the Apple as it is now, Tim Cook's Apple, is 100% all about profit margin and not much else. The fact is they've moved so massively over to services and maximizing every little drip they can out of things without it actually becoming an expansive service, which is why it surprised me so much that Logic was a free update into its new version. Although it is now just Logic Pro rather than the version numbers, it's just Logic Pro, and this is iteration 11. It hasn't got a numbered update anymore like we're used to in the music DAW world with, you know, Ableton, Reason, Cubase, Pro Tools all going up numerically. They've kind of broken that trend, and now it's just got a numerical update but not a numerical version. And the fact is, like, Apple is now it makes most of its money now off of its current customers by selling them SaaS services. And I was expecting them to 100% utilize the things they've already got, which are big sellers, Final Cut, Logic, and turn those into subscription systems. Now they've brought them over to the iPad. Now the iPad's using the same chips as their Macs, and they are subscriptions there. It wouldn't have surprised me one iota. So here's the story of me joining. Rewind all the way back and think to when the iPhone 5S had just launched. I mean, literally just launched. My training week with Apple, and I joined the company as what they call an FWE, which is Flexible Working Employee. Basically, temp staff. And during my training week, that was when the 5S launched. So that gives you a time frame of when I joined the company and how long ago that was at this point. So from there is my FWE status. Now I went into Apple directly out of the Royal Marines. Basically when I was on what's called MBOS from the Royal Marines, which is when you've been injured and you get basically phased out and you have to go and find a job. I walked into the job interview, put my paperwork down, and the guy who interviewed me effectively said, brilliant, I know you want to come in as this kind of creative role. We're not hiring for that at the minute. It had already been filled, the role I applied for, something I don't recall. But we've got FWE, flexible employees. You'll be employed to at least to January the following year. Do you want to take that? That was my whole interview. Yeah, sure, I'll go and do that. And that puts me in a good stead to go and get the job position that I wanted. After that FWE process ended in the January, I got kept on, but I had to move over to a different store. I basically spent 1 year to 18 months working as a general store employee before I moved and progressed on to what I wanted to do, which was a really good time frame, and I was happy. There were some things that happened in the medium time from there. And when I joined Apple at this point, we're not long after Steve Jobs had passed away, and there was still a very clear plan that the company was to be 100% customer focused and support its staff in training, development, and basically you could do what you wanted as long as it was right for that particular customer. So when I started being able to do training sessions, and I was doing one-to-one sessions at the time, not as a creative, but stepping in for when people were off sick, part-time, that kind of thing, which was really good. So it eased me into the role before it was available. You could basically build them a custom training package. They came in each week and you developed it with them. I got to do little bits of Final Cut, got to do quite a bit with Logic and people building out their projects. I wasn't far from LIPA, which is a music education school. Did a couple of sessions with people there, so I could just kind of give them a little bit of mentoring and push them in to do better on their projects. We had people who were, say, in a band, musicians who wanted to get their head around the DAW side of things, so I could teach them that. All within inside the concept of Apple, which is fantastic, right? People have bought software, they can come in, and it was 50 quid a year, I believe, for one-to-one at the time. So you could pay that 50 quid and come in and have one-to-one sessions with someone like myself who could give you guided concepts around it. What an awesome job to have. It's effectively what I do here on YouTube, but I did it in physical one-to-one, and there was a subscription system basically in place called Apple One-to-One. And Apple isn't making money off that, right? 50 quid a year, you could maybe get one valid session with someone like myself or any of the other creatives, some who are incredibly well experienced and well versed in their particular fields. So it's kind of a loss leader. Yeah, there's an upfront cost to it, because if you just had it free and open to everybody, they wouldn't see the value in it. And they wouldn't attend it and they wouldn't use it. But it was customer focused. You could really develop and help people. Now, on from that, they ended one-to-one and moved into something called Today at Apple. Now, with Today at Apple, I got to be part of pilot program where I could basically work with businesses, individual people, all sorts of other things. It meant like I had amazing things like a new hair salon came in, and they wanted to do like videos for Instagram, and I got to do customized video session for all of their staff on like, hey, right, this is how we can film it, this is how you can make your people look really, really great in the videos. We can film it using iPhone, use the cinematic mode, which was new at the time. Get that kind of like bokeh effect so they really pop out. This is how we do color correction. Boom, you can take that off and now make your Instagram or whatever it is for your business look amazing. I got to meet some incredible people doing that. Like I met the COO of John West Tuner, completely random, I know, but he came in with part of the graphic design team who were based not far away, and got to meet them. I met the guy who invented the oil pipelines that go from the oil rigs you see out to sea and get transported all the way into those rigging systems. Again, completely random, but what an incredible guy to like meet and have conversations with. And as a team, we were a team of, would have been 6? No, we were a team of 9 people at like our peak capacity. And we could basically do what we wanted in that respect. We went to store, we can go into businesses, we would go to schools, we'd bring schools in, and we got to do special needs sessions, which was incredible. I did music sessions with the Blind Society, which was probably one of the best experiences I've had in terms of like teaching and developing. So we did it like before a store opened. It's like before a store opened on, I want to say it was a Sunday, because we had that time before we opened at like 11. They brought all their CNI dogs in and we did like musical transposition and things on iPads. Incredible, like what an awesome part of the job. At this point, Steve's been gone a while. We've brought someone in called Angela, who she has launched Today at Apple, got rid of one-to-one and made it like this big community thing. And us as like a team, we were getting this to work really, really well, to the point that we had someone called Dan Germain, who used to be the CEO of Innocent Drinks before they sold to Coca-Cola. He was heading up that side of things in the UK. He came in, brought all of the like big bosses and whatnot, like, this is what they're doing, this is how we're developing it, and it's going fantastic. Angela left at this point, and someone who'd been in the company for like 20, maybe 30 years took over and basically started to just cull us away. Not officially, because let's be honest, Apple don't lay people off. What's happening right now, and I can say this because when I left the company in 2021, I probably knew somewhere in the region of 150 people that I could name throughout the company. Now, in 2024, I can name 12 people who are still there, which is horrendous. Apple don't lay people off. And what I said before I left is I can feel this coming, that they're going to cull anybody they can, in any way they can, who is maybe senior staff or maybe isn't directly generating a profit, and bring new staff in and pay them less. And it's exactly what has happened over the last few years. The reason I left was they basically found a way to cull me as well. So in 2021, I had what was called my yearly review. You sit down with your manager, blah, 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 you've done all this stuff. Basically, I had done everything that I should have, and I had overachieved in certain places, considering my job role had been shut off since 2020. I was no longer able to run business sessions with businesses or bring them into the store. We couldn't do the school sessions, couldn't do the college sessions. The like one-to-one or small group sessions had been completely culled off. And we just had a meeting like, hey, when is this coming back? When am I going to start doing my job again? Because currently I'm been giving jobber work and it is ridiculous. When I say jobber work, one day was 8 hours stood outside of an Apple store checking people in for their appointments. Another one was an express checkout day. Basically, I was like a till at Aldi for anyone who was quickly looking to buy something. I just know it's just not what I'm there to do. And yes, I was only ever there part-time. I work 2 days a week, by the way, for Apple at this point. If I was doing that full-time, I would have been gone a lot quicker, I would imagine. So we had this meeting, and essentially they were like, we're not bringing what it was back, but it's going to come back in some other fashion, but we don't know when. I was like, right, okay, that's sort of one nail in the coffin, because I'm sick of doing this jobber work. I could go on YouTube and I could actually make extra content, or I could partner up with another company and do training content with them. The things I really enjoy, creating stuff, making an impact on somebody, not going, yeah, your iPhone appointment is going to be in 15 minutes, go and sit over there. Which they were paying me relatively well for, but we'll get onto that in a second. The next thing was, when I had my review, I had exceeded expectations in that I'd picked up other job roles that I shouldn't have even done. So, for example, I had the technical experience to go and do Genius Bar appointments when they were overrun. Because I was bored out of my mind, I would go on the Genius Bar and I would do some of those appointments and do technical appointments and help people out there, especially in the creative aspect. If we've got someone who's having issues with certain things, there's loads I can talk about and help them with, which was really, really great. And I didn't care about my session time or anything like that, because honestly, it wasn't my job. However, in my review, it was, you have achieved, is it achieved expectations? Yeah, I think achieved expectations. Well, my argument was I've been doing way above and beyond my job role. In fact, I haven't been doing my job role at all. So how is my aspect of teamwork only achieved? Go, oh, well, everyone's been doing that really, haven't they? Like, well, okay, so everyone, especially on my team, has exceeded expectations then? No, is this just what's expected? We'll just do any old job role. The reason they marked all of those things down for me was so they could then say the next bit to me, which was, so you have reached the top of your pay cap. Okay, so the top of my pay cap. What does this mean? So it means this year we're going to give you a 1% pay rise because you've reached the top of your pay cap. You're as high up as you can possibly be. Like, okay, so that's because I've performed every single year, and I've overachieved, and I've made the company money despite not being in a role where I'm necessarily there to generate money. Okay, So that's what we're doing, is it? So basically saying, hey, no, you're not going to have any more pay, even though you've done really well and you've done jobs way out of your spec. Okay. That same day, the news dropped that old Timmy Cook, was taking a bonus of $750 million on top of his usual salary, which I think was like 70 million. So an 830 million pay package, and I was being told I could have a 1% pay rise on my 2 days a week that I worked for the company, despite performing way above and beyond. All right, so nail number 2. I don't know when I'm going to do my job, and they're now not going to pay me for it. At this point, inflation was already ramping up rapidly, and by October, it was up to like 12% in the UK. So when, like, this is not the exact calculation, but look at it as I'm going to get a 1% pay rise, but cost of living, to be honest, had gone up by about 50% because the cost of like electricity had doubled, cost of food had gone up, but inflation was up like 12%. So it's basically taking approximately an 11 to 10% pay cut to do a job that was driving me completely insane. Almost all of my team's left at this point, by the way. Talking now in 2024, almost all of my team is now left. There are just a couple of people still hanging around who, you know, they're being paid a decent enough living and they're doing the now base of the job again, but that is what it is. So that was sort of nail in the coffin, big time for me there. However, a nice glimmer of news had come up that we're going to start doing sessions again, which is awesome. Like 2 more days, like a week or so has passed. I've sort of taken this on board, put up with it, and I come in, we've got sessions on. Awesome. There's people booked on it. Boom. I've got like 4 hours of my day doing sessions, teaching people, helping them move on, actually making an impact on some people's lives. Which, you know, I've helped businesses, I've helped like dental businesses. I helped set up a dental business where they operated everything from iPads to the point that once someone had like their teeth scanned, the dentist could show them the 3D render in like real time with a photo of them, how their teeth were going to look afterwards and stuff like that. I loved building that kind of stuff out with people. Truly did. Music's obviously my passion, but I loved that aspect, and I've done that countless times with countless businesses, right? So I'm really looking forward to this. In the meantime, I'm standing on my express checkout, waiting for the good part of my day to start, and the manager walked up to me and went, "Hey, we've had a couple of people call in sick, COVID, so you got COVID symptoms, you couldn't come in." This is in late 2021. So what I've done is I've phoned everyone on your sessions, I've cancelled those for the day, I need you to stay here. And I handed my notice in right there. I gave 1 week and I was gone 2 shifts later. However, they wanted to do one more little thing before this happened. And on what should have been my second to last day, we wrapped up the whole day, normal kind of thing. Now, you may have seen that Apple do like what's called a clap out. Everyone leaves the store, all the people you've worked with all of the years get to say goodbye, and you kind of get moved on to your next place. So it's the day before my final day, and we've wrapped up the whole day and everything. That's great. I come in for my next day. When I arrive to the store, I get told that my shift has been changed. This has never happened, by the way. I've never once had my shift changed on the day without anyone telling me. And it's been changed to a day after my leaving date that I gave as my final notice. So actually, you no longer work for the company and we'll need you to leave the store, please. So after 8 years and excellent performance, I was denied a pay rise, had parts of my job taken away from me or cancelled, and prioritised to literally stand and create a queue for transactions in a store, to then having my final day, like my final walk out, my final goodbye to everyone, to be told I no longer work for the company. and I need to leave the store. And that is the way that the company has gone. I had complete clairvoyance about it, and I said it to people, and the number of messages I've had since that saying, you were right, like you saw what was coming, and the fact that over 100 people that I could name no longer work for the company, but there has never been an official Apple layoff, just speaks volumes. And that is why I no longer work for the company. I saw what was coming. I tried to exit gracefully and early, and was even denied that very aspect of it. Would I recommend people go and apply and work for Apple now? If you're at university and you need a temporary job working in an Apple store, yeah, sure. Don't let it run your life though, because one thing I would often joke about, they would often preach this work-life balance, but they would also expect people to give a schedule that they're free from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Sunday. So I would often joke that when you say work-life balance, you actually mean, can you balance your life around work, please? And you'll never get the same schedule week in, week out, so you can never organise things. You only get your schedule like 14 days ahead. So if you want to plan something 3 weeks' time, you don't know if you're going to have to be off that Saturday, Friday evening, whatever it's going to be. You might find that you're in the store 9 p.m. on the Friday and back in at 9 a.m. on the Saturday, scuppering your weekend plans. Even though you're only working there 2 days a week, it's just insane how it is. If you need a temporary job, yeah, sure thing. If you want a career, unless you're living in California or directly next door to a corporate location, yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend working for Apple. And when I first started working for the company, I would recommend people all the time. Hell, I recommended my own mother, who went for an interview in London at one point. Now, no, it's just so heavily focused on making sales. Like, here's another key point: the Genius Bar, right? Shit name is what it is. It used to be, customer comes in, they've got an issue with their device, you resolve that issue. Now it's, this is the issue with the device. What I recommend you do is, you can pay for Apple Care, you can pay for a new device, or you can upgrade to a new contract. That's literally the options. Now, there was, talk about one aspect when I was on the Genius Bar before it became shit. There was one lad who came in to me, and he basically water damaged his phone. And like diving into it, I found out that he was suffering with cancer. He had a colostomy bag. He fell down the stairs, and that is what damaged the phone. So after washing my hands, I went and spoke to this kid again. I was like, look, what's happened is absolutely like shocking. It's shit. I'm sorry it's happened to you. I found a way to then talk to a manager and replace that phone at no cost to help him out. That is how the company used to be. It used to be that you could do those kind of things. Since then, I've had stories of people who have tried to do things like that and been told that that's just not how we're operating anymore, and that if you keep doing things like that, you'll be leaving the company. And it's just where it is now. And that, guys, is why I left Apple, because the culture and the focus on what it used to be is gone. It is now shit. It is 100%. It's reached enshittification point where they are reducing staff, getting the shittest people they can to do shitty things, like scrape coin out of everyone's pockets for everything. You're buying an iPhone, right? You're buying a premium product, but now they want you to also sell them the top level iCloud and make sure they've got Apple Fitness and get them on Apple Music and subscribe them to Apple TV. Make sure they've got Apple Care Plus on their device. And while they're here, they should probably buy an Apple leather case, which is 4 times the price it should be. Oh, you've not asked them to do all of those things in their session where they came to try and get their phone repaired. Okay, well, you're not getting your raise this year. It's shit.